Thanks,
All right,
Dawn.
you're live.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the fifth annual Song of Myself virtual marathon. We're really pleased to host this yearly for the past 5 years since COVID, even though we are back in person in Brooklyn and very delighted to be there on September 15th this year. We're really hoping that you can join us at that time. But this marathon, the global marathon, has kind of pulled the heartstrings of a lot of people out there. It brings together a lot of people that can't otherwise be in Brooklyn, and that are just maybe having a really hard time either getting around or traveling to New York. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the Global Online Marathon. And the whole idea today, y'all, is to hear the whole poem. Usually takes about 3 hours. We left, I think I wrote through 3 to 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, giving it a little bit of room for people who might have a interpretation, but you're going to hear so many different versions of these passages, and it's such a delight to hear it every year, now every year twice, because there are so many different ways to think about these words. We really hope that they refresh you and restore you. Goodness knows we all need that these days. And that you find it a useful tool, whether you're going to look back at it and study it, or you're just going to enjoy it in the background, kind of like music. And there will be music. There are musicians on board. There are performers. There are everyday heroes. There are teenagers. There are octogenarians. We have a huge range of voices, and we always welcome more. So please check out the Walt Whitman Initiative website. We are a completely volunteer nonprofit organization. Nobody makes any money, but we are dedicated to the public good and just to keep poetry alive and well. And this is one of our initiatives. I'll just say a quick thing about our library, which I'm really, really proud about. We have started in 2022 a poetry library that is completely free access, open to the public. And actually, I have the hours because we have an incredible intern, my student Belajit, who has volunteered to staff the hours this summer. So she's keeping 12 to 4 p.m. hours pretty regularly on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. Please check our website for the details. And if you are not on our mailing list, you can email me at walt@waltwhitmaninitiative.org. My name is Karen Carpenter. I'm the president of the Whitman Initiative, and just really, really pleased to be with this band of well-meaning people who practice such goodwill. So thank you to all of the readers. I also have to thank Carlin Allenbrand, who's doing the tech, which is no mean feat. So thank you, Carlin. And Stefan Killen, who designed our incredible poster. You see a version or 3 versions of it behind me here. And of course, our dear Jesse Morandi, who sets us up every year with actually doing these marathons. So thank you, Jesse. He's in Paris this year, and unable to tune in, but definitely with us in spirit. Okay, so just a word, Song of Myself, of course, this is Whitman's longest poem. It's maybe his most beloved. It depends on who you are. He wrote it first in 1855, so it's almost 200 years old. And he kept on revising it through his life, right, until 1892 when he died. So people will be using probably mostly the last version when he divided up the poem into 52 sections, almost like you're supposed to read a section a week. Sometimes people will be using other ones because a lot of people love the first edition, the 1855. It's very fresh and revolutionary, full of young spirit. So just keep going. If you hear something unfamiliar, just enjoy it, right? Nobody is fact checking you. We want to hear it your way. Uh, and as you can see, or maybe you can't see, the readers all have their names and their section numbers on the screen. But I'm also going to ask readers to just maybe say their names if they would like. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to say a couple of words, you can just keep it tight. Otherwise, this thing takes 5 hours. But we have so many wonderful people here, and I didn't want to shut down anyone saying something special about their section. Okay, speaking of saying, I'm going to ask the readers that are now present to turn on their cameras and unmute themselves. And our tradition has been to yawp this marathon into being. So on the count of three, we're all going to yawp. One, two, three. Oh my goodness. All right. I hope we get better than that, but that was pretty good. Thank you so much for the energy and the good cheer, y'all. So I'm going to ask everybody to again mute and take your camera off and ask the folk singer who is starting us off to step up. There he is. David Brahinsky is going to be singing sections 1 and 2. Thank you so much, David, for starting us off again this year.
My pleasure. How's the sound? Is the sound okay on me now?
Sound is perfect. Thank you so much.
So I wrote the music to the first part in 1970. That'll involve just a little bit of repetition. And then the rest of it, the rest of section 1 and then section 2, I've been working on putting a background music to it in the last couple of hours. I celebrate myself and sing myself. I celebrate myself and sing myself. I celebrate. I celebrate. I celebrate myself and sing myself. For what I assume, you shall assume. You shall assume. I celebrate myself and sing myself. I celebrate myself and sing myself. I celebrate. I celebrate. I celebrate myself and sing myself. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a sphere of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood formed from this soil, this air. Born here of parents, grown here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I now 37 years old, in perfect health begin, hoping to cease until death. Creeds and schools and bands, retiring back a while, suffice that what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad. Permit to speak at every hazard. Nature without check, with original energy. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it in life. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The atmosphere is not a perfume, but has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I am in love with it. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. The smoke of my own breath echoes, ripples, buzz, whispers, love root, silk fret, crotch, and bone. My respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, passing of blood and air through my lungs. The snip of green leaves and dry leaves, and of the shore and dark-colored sea rocks, of hay in the barn. Sound of the belched words of my voice, loosed to the eddies of the wind. A few night kisses, a few embraces, a reaching around of arms. The play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag. The delight alone, or in the rush of the streets, or along the fields and hillsides. The feeling of health, full moon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of homes? Stop this day and night, and you shall possess the origin of all things. You shall possess the good of the earth. Sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things in second or third hand, or look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters and books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides, filter them from yourself. I celebrate. I celebrate.
Section 3. I've heard what the talkers are talking, the talk of the beginning and the end, but I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world. Out of the dimness, opposite equals advance. Always substance and increase, always sex, always a knit of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail. Learned and unlearned feel that it is so. Such is the most certain, sure, plumb in the uprights, well entreated, braced in the beams, stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical, I and this mystery, here we stand. Clear and sweet is my soul. Clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Like one lacks both, and the unseen is proved by the seen, till that becomes unseen and receives proof in its turn. Showing the best and dividing it from the worst age vexes age. Knowing the perfect fitness and equanimity of things while they discuss, I am silent and go bathe and admire myself. Welcome is every organ and attribute of me, and of any man hearty and clean. Not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I see, dance, laugh, sing, as the hugging and loving bedfellow sleeps at my side through the night and withdraws at the peep of the day with stealthy tread, leaving me baskets covered with white towels, swelling the house with their plenty. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization and scream at my eyes? that they turn from gazing after and down the road, and forthwith cipher and show me to assent exactly the value of one and exactly the value of two, and which is ahead?
Trippers and askers surround me. Am I on?
Yes, you are, Howard. You sound great.
Okay. Trippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect upon me of my early life, or the ward and city I live in, or the nation, the latest dates, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors, old and new. My dinner, dress, associates, looks, compliments, dues. The real or fancied indifference of some man or woman I love, the sickness of one of my folks or of myself, or ill-doing or loss or lack of money, or depressions or exaltations. Battles, the horrors of fratricidal war, the fever of doubtful news, the fitful events. These come to me days and nights and go from me again, but they are not the me, myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands amused, complacent, compassionating, idle, unitary, looks down, is erect, or bends an arm on an impalpable, certain rest. Looking with side-curved head, curious what will come next, both in and out of the game, and watching and wondering at it. Backward I see in my own days where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mockings or arguments. I witness and wait.
I believe in you, my soul.
Becca, you sound great.
I believe in you, my soul. The other I am must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass, loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want, not custom or lecture, not even the best. Only the lull I like, the hum of your valved voice. I mind how we once lay, such a transparent summer morning, how you settled your head athwart my hips and gently turned over upon me, and parted the shirt from my bosom bone, and plunged your tongue to my bare stripped heart, and reached till you felt my beard, and reached till you held my feet. Swiftly arose and spread around me the peace and knowledge that pass all the argument of the earth. And I know that the hand of God is the promise of my own, and I know that the Spirit of God is the brother of my own, and that all the men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that a kelson of the creation is love, and limitless are leaves stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in the little wells beneath them, and mossy scabs of the worm fence, heaped stones, elder, mullein, and pokeweed.
Hello from sunny England. I am going to sing number 6, and the credit for the music has to go to Paula Kimper, who wrote this setting of number 6. You'll be hearing Paula reading later. So this is number 6, A Child Said. A child said, What is the grass? Fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of full green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord, a scented gift and remembrancer, designedly dropped, bearing the owner's name, some way in the corners, that we may see and remark and say, or I guess the grass is itself a child, the produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folk as among white. Canuck, Tuckahoe, Congressman Cuff, I give them the same, I receive them the same, I give them the same, I receive them the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut herald grapes. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be if I had known them, I would have loved them. It may be you are from old people, or from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are, the mother's laps. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths. Oh, I perceive after all so many altering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about the old men and mothers, and the offspring taken soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death, and if ever there was, it led forward life, and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapses. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed, and to die is different from what anyone supposed, from what anyone supposed, and luckier.
In Sufi tradition, there are 7 stages of love: dilkashi, attraction; uns, infatuation; ishq, love; aqidat, trust; ibadat, worship; junoon, madness; and the last, maut, death. Death is not physical, and it's a psychological phenomena that springs from the last stage of grief, acceptance, post disbelief, yearning, and depression. I would like to read this section 7 of the poem in this amalgamation of the last 2 stages of love and grief. Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her it is just as lucky to die. And I know it. I pass death with the dying and birth with the new vast babe. And I'm not contained between my hat and boots, and peruse manifold objects, and know two alike and everyone good. The earth good, and the stars good, and the actions all good. I'm not an earth, not an agent of an earth. I'm the mate and the companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. Every kind of for itself and its own. For me, my male and female. For me, those that have been boys and that love women. For me, that man that is proud and feels how it stings to be slighted. For me, the sweetheart and the old maid. For me, mothers and mothers of mothers. For me, lips that have smiled, eyes that have shed tears. For me, children and begetters of children. And rape. You are not guilty to me, nor stale, nor discarded. I see through the broadcloth and jinkum whether or no, and am around. Tenacious, acquisitive, tireless, and cannot be shaken away.
My name is John Jackson. This is section 8. The little one sleeps in its cradle. I lift the gauze and look a long time, and silently brush away flies with my hand. The youngster and the red-faced girl turn aside up the bushy hill. I peeringly view them from the top. The suicide sprawls on the bloody floor of the bedroom. I witness the corpse with its dappled hair. I note where the pistol has fallen. The blab of the paved, tires of courts, slough of boot soles, talk of the promenaders, the heavy omnibus, the driver with his interrogating thumb, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, the snow slits clinking, shouted jokes, pelts of snowballs, the hurrahs for popular favorites, the fury of roused mobs, the flap of the curtained litter, a sick man inside, borne to the hospital, the meeting of enemies, the sudden oath, the blows and fall, the excited crowd, the policeman with his star quickly working his passage to the center of the crowd, the impassive stones that receive and return so many echoes. What groans of overfed or half-starved who fall sunstruck or in fits. What exclamations of women taken suddenly who hurry home and give birth to babes. What living and buried speech is always vibrating here? What howls restrained by decorum? Arrests of criminals, slights, adulterous offers made, acceptances, rejections with convex lips. I mind them, or the show of them, or the show or resonance of them. I come and I depart.
I'm going to need our host to let me have my video back now that I figured it out. Beautiful.
Sorry, Julia.
Oh, good. It's my bad for being Zoom incompetent. I'm Julia from the Canadian Whitmanites. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to invite you to come up to Canada and join in our Song of Myself marathon, September 19th. Check out Canadian Whitmanites on Facebook for the information. Section 9. The big doors of the country barn stand open and ready. The dry grass of the harvest time loads the slow-drawn wagon. The clear light plays on the brown, gray, and green intertinged. The armfuls are packed to the sagging mow. I'm there. I help. I came stretched atop the load. I felt its soft jolts. One leg reclined on the other. I jump from the cross beams and seize the clover and timothy and roll head over heels and tangle my hair full of wisps.
This is section 10. Alone, far in the wilds and mountains I hunt, wandering amazed at my own lightness and glee. In the late afternoon, choosing a safe spot to pass the night, kindling a fire and broiling the fresh-killed game, falling asleep on the gathered leaves with my dog and gun by my side. The Yankee Clippers under her sky sails, she cuts the sparkle and scud. My eyes settle the land. I bend at her prow or shout joyously from the deck. The boatmen and clam diggers arose early and stopped for me. I tucked my trouser ends in my boots and went and had a good time. You should have been with us that day around the chowder kettle. I saw the marriage of the trapper in the open air in the far west. The bride was a red girl. Her father and his friends sat near cross-legged and dumbly smoking. They had moccasins to their feet and large, thick blankets hanging from their shoulders. On a bank lounged the trapper. He was dressed mostly in skins His luxuriant beard and curls protected his neck. He held his bride by the hand. She had long eyelashes. Her head was bare. Her coarse, straight locks descended upon her voluptuous limbs and reached to her feet. The runaway slave came to my house and stopped outside. I heard his motions crackling the twigs of the woodpile. Through the swung half door of the kitchen, I saw him limpsy and weak, and went where he sat on a log and led him in and assured him, and brought water, filled the tub for his sweated body and bruised feet, and gave him a room that entered from my own, and gave him some coarse, clean clothes. I remember perfectly well his revolving eyes and his awkwardness, and remember putting plasters on the galls of his necks and ankles. He stayed with me a week before he was recuperated and passed north. I had him sit next me at table. My firelog leaned in the corner.
Section 11. "28 young men bathed by the shore, 28 young men, and all so friendly, 28 years of womanly life, and all so lonesome. She owns the fine house by the rise of the bank. She hides handsome and richly dressed aft the blinds of the window. Which of the young men does she like the best? Next of them, it's beautiful to her. Where are you off to, lady? For I see you. You splash in the water there, yet stay stock still in your room. Dancing and laughing along the beach comes the 29. The rest do not see her, but she saw them and them. The beards of the young men glistened with wet. It ran from their long hair. Little streams passed over their bodies. An unseen hand also passed over their bodies. It descended tremblingly from their temples and ribs. The young men float on their backs, their white bellies bulge to the sun. They do not ask who seizes first. To them, they do not know who puffs and declines with pendant and bending arch. They do not think sauce with spring.
James Carpenter, Section 12. The butcher boy puts off his killing clothes, so sharp his knife at Saul in the market. I loiter, enjoying the shuffle and breakdown. Blacksmiths, rhyming, hairy chests, and iron metal. Each has his main sledge. They are all out. There is a great heat in the fire. From the cinder-strewn threshold, I follow their movements. The lithe sheer of their waists plays even massive arms. Overhand, the hammer swing. Overhand, so. Overhand, so. They do not hasten. Each man hits in his place.
The black man holds firmly the reins of his 4 horses. The block swags underneath on its tied-over chain. The black man that drives the long dray of the stone yard.
It's like,
Sorry, John. I'll start again. Hold on. That line anyway. The black man that drives the long dray of the stone yard, steady and tall, he stands poised on one leg on the string piece. His blue shirt exposes his ample neck and breast and loosens over his hip bend. His gaze is calm and commanding. He tosses the slouch of his hat away from his forehead. The sun falls on his crispy hair and mustache, falls on the black of his polished and perfect limbs. I behold the picturesque giant and love him, and I do not stop there. I go with the team also. In me, the caresser of life, wherever moving, backward as well as forward slewing, to niches aside and junior bending, not a person or object missing, absorbing all to myself and for this song. Oxen that rattle the yoke and chain or halt in the leafy shade, what is it that you express in your eyes? It seems to me more than all the print I have read in my life. My tread scares the wood drake and wood duck on my distant and day-long ramble. They rise together, they slowly circle around. I believe in those winged purposes and acknowledge red, yellow, white playing within me, and consider green and violet and the tufted crown intentional, and do not call the tortoise unworthy because she is not something else. And the jay in the woods never studied the gamut, yet trills pretty well to me. And the look of the bay mare shames silliness out of me.
Section 14. The wild gander leads his flock through the quiet. Yup, he says, and sends it down to me like an invitation. The poet may suppose it meaningless, but I, listening close, find its purpose and place. There toward the wintry sky, the sharp-hoofed moose of the north, the cat on the house sill, the chickadee, the prairie dog, the litter of the grunting sow as they tug at her teats, the brood of the turkey hen, and she with her half-spread wings. I see in them and myself, the tops of my foot to the earth springs 100 affections. They scorn the best I can do to relate them. I am enamored of growing outdoors, of men that live among cattle, or taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and steerers of ships, and the wielders of axes and mauls, and the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them, week in and week out. What is commonest, cheapest, nearest, easiest is me. Going in for my chances, spending for vast returns, adorning myself to bestow myself on the first that will take me, not asking the sky to come down to my goodwill, scattering it free.
Section 15. The pure contralto sings in the organ loft. The carpenter dresses his plank. The tongue of his horror plane whistles its wild ascending lisp. The married and unmarried children ride home to their Thanksgiving dinner. The pilot seizes the kingpin. He heaves down with a strong arm. The mate stands braced in the whaleboat. Lance and harpoon are ready. The duck shooter walks by silent and cautious stretches. The deacons are ordained with crossed hands at the altar. The spinning girl retreats and advances to the hum of the big wheel. The farmer stops by the bars as he walks on the first day loaf and looks at the oats and rye. The lunatic is carried at last to the asylum, a confirmed case. He will never sleep any more as he did in the cot in his mother's bedroom. The jour printer with the gray head and gaunt jaws works at his case. He turns his quid of tobacco while his eyes blur with the manuscript. The malformed limbs are tied to the surgeon's table. What is removed drops horribly in a pail. The quadroon girl is sold at auction stand. The drunkard nods by the bar room stove. The machinists roll up his sleeve. The policeman travels his beat. The gatekeeper marks who pass. The young fellow drives the express wagon. I love him, though I do not know him. The half-breed straps on his light boots to compete in the race. The Western turkey shooting draws old and young. Some lean on their rifles, some sit on logs. Out from the crowd steps the marksman, takes his position, levels his piece. The groups of newly come immigrants cover the wharfs or levee. The woolly pates hoe in the sugar field. Overseer views them from his saddle. The bugle calls in the ballroom. The gentlemen run for their partners. The dancers bow to each other. The youth lies awake in the cedar-roofed garret and harks to the musical rain. The wolverine sets traps on the creek that helps fill the Huron. The squaw, wrapped in her yellow-hemmed cloth, is offering moccasins and bead bags for sale. The connoisseur peers along the exhibition gallery with half-shut eyes bent sideways. As the deckhands make fast the steamboat, the plank is thrown for the shore-going passengers. The young sister holds out the skein while elder sister winds it off in a ball and stops now and then for the knots. The one-year wife is recovering and happy, having a week ago born her first child. The clean-haired Yankee girl works with her sewing machine or in the factory or mill. The paving man leans on his two-handed rammer. The reporter's lead flies swiftly over the notebook. The sign painter is lettering with blue and gold. The canal boy trots on the tow path. The bookkeeper counts at his desk. The shoemaker waxes his thread. The conductor beats time for the band, and all the performers follow him. The child is baptized. The convert is making his first professions. The regatta is spread on the bay. The race has begun. How white sails sparkle. The drover, watching his droves, sings out to them that would stray. The peddler sweats with his pack on his back. The purchaser higgling about the odd cent. The bride unrumples her white dress. The minute hand of the clock moves slowly. The opium eater reclines with rigid head and just opened lips. The prostitute draggles her shawl. Her bonnet bobs at her tipsy and pimpled neck. The crowd laugh at her blackguard oaths. The men jeer and wink to each other. Miserable, I do not laugh at your oaths, nor jeer you. The president holds a cabinet council, is surrounded by the great secretaries. On the piazza walk three matrons, stately and friendly with twined arms. The crew of the fish smack pack repeated layers of halibut in the hold. The Missourian crossing the plains, toting his wares and his cattle. As the fare collector goes through the train, he gives notice by the jingle of loose change. The floormen are laying the floor. The tinners are tinning the roof. The masons are calling for mortar. In a single file, each shouldering his hod, pass onward the laborers. Seasons pursuing each other, the indescribable crowd is gathered. It is the 4th of 7th month. What salutes of cannons and small arms! Seasons pursuing each other. The plower plows, the mower mows, and the winter grain falls in the ground. Off on the lakes, the pike fisher watches and waits for the hole in the frozen surface. The stumps stand thick around the clearing. The squatter strikes deep with his axe. Flat boatmen make fast toward the dusk near the cottonwood and pecan trees. Coon seekers go through the regions of the Red River, or through those drained by the Tennessee, or through those of the Arkansas. Torches shine in the dark that hangs on the Chattahoochee or Altamaha. Patriarchs sit at supper with sons and grandsons and great-grandsons around them. In the walls of adobe and canvas tents rest hunters and trappers after their day's sport. The city sleeps and the country sleeps. The living sleep for their time and the dead sleep for their time. The old husband sleeps by his wife and the young husband sleeps by his wife. And these tend inward to me, and I tend outward to them. And such as it is to be of these, more or less, I am. And of these one and all, I weave the song of myself.
I am of old and young, of the foolish as much as the wise, regardless of others, ever regardful of others. Maternal as well as paternal, a child as well as a man. Stuff with the stuff that is coarse, and stuff with the stuff that is fine. One of the nation of many nations, the smallest the same, the largest the same. A southerner soon as a northerner, a planter nonchalant and hospitable down by the Oconee I live. A Yankee bound my own way, ready for trade. My joints, the limberest joints on earth and sternest joints on earth. A Kentuckian walking the vale of Elkhorn in my deer skin leggings. A Louisianian or Georgian, a boatman over lakes or bays, or along coast, a Hoosier, Badger, Buckeye. At home on Canadian snowshoes, or up in the bush, or with the fishermen of Newfoundland. At home in the fleet of ice boats, sailing with the rest and tacking. At home on the hills of Vermont, or in the woods of Maine, or the Texan Range. Comrade of Californians, comrade of free Northwesterners, loving their big proportions. Comrade of raftmen and coalmen, comrade of all who shake hands and welcome to drink and meet. A learner with the simplest, a teacher of thoughtfulest, a novice beginning yet experienced of millions of seasons, of every hue and caste am I, of every rank and religion. A farmer, mechanic, artist, gentleman, sailor, quaker, prisoner, fancyman, rowdy, lawyer, physician, priest. I resist anything better than my own diversity. Breathe the air, but leave plenty after me. And am not stuck up, and am in my place. The mound and fish eggs are in their place. The bright suns I see and the dark suns I can't see are in their place. The palpable is in its place, and impalpable is in its place.
Section 17. These are really the thoughts of all men in all ages and lands. They are not original with me. If they are not yours as much as mine, they are nothing, or next to nothing. If they are not the riddle, and the untying of the riddle, they are nothing. If they are not just as close as they are distant, they are nothing. This is the grass that grows wherever the land is and the water is. This the common air that bathes the globe.
Roger Cunningham. With music strong I come, with my cornets and my drums. I play not marches for accepted victors only. I play marches for conquered and slain persons. Have you heard that it was good to gain the day? I also say it is good to fall. Battles are lost in the same spirit in which they are won. I beat and pound for the dead. I blow through my embouchures, my loudest and gayest for them. Vivas to those who have failed, and to those whose war vessels sank in the sea, and to those themselves who sank in the sea, and to all generals that lost engagements, and all overcome heroes, and their numberless unknown heroes equal to the greatest heroes known.
This is the meal equally set. This the meat for natural hunger. It is for the wicked just the same as the righteous. I make appointments with all. I will not have a single person slighted or left away. The kept woman, sponger, thief are hereby invited. The heavy-lipped slave is invited. The venereal E is invited. There shall be no difference between them and the rest. This is the press of a bashful hand. This the float and odor of hair. This the touch of my lips to yours. This the murmur of yearning. This the far-off depth and height reflecting my own face. This the thoughtful merge of myself and the outlet again. Do you guess I have some intricate purpose? Well, I have. for the 4th month showers have, and the mica on the side of a rock has. Do you take it I would astonish? Does the daylight astonish? Does the early red start twittering through the woods? Do I astonish more than they? This hour, I tell things in confidence. I might not tell everybody, but I will tell you. There are countless great lines in this poem, but that last one has always been a favorite of mine. I might not tell everybody, but I will tell you.
Who goes there? Hankering. Gross. Mystical. Nude. How is it I extract strength from the beef I eat? What is a man anyhow? What am I? What are you? All I mark as my own, you shall offset it with your own. Else it were time lost listening to me. I do not snivel that snivel the world over. The months are vacuums in the ground, but wallow in filth. Whimpering and truckling fold with powders for invalids. Conformity goes to the 4th removed. I wear my hat as I please, indoors or out. Why should I pray? Why should I venerate and be ceremonious? Having pried through the strata, analyzed to a hair, counseled with doctors and calculated close, I find no sweeter fat than sticks to my own bones. In all people I see myself, none more and not one a barleycorn less, and the good or bad I say of myself, I say of them. I know I am solid and sound. To me, the converging objects of the universe perpetually flow. All are written to me, and I must get what the writing means. I know I am deathless. I know this orbit of mine cannot be swept by a carpenter's compass. I know I shall not pass like a child's carlicue, cut with a burnt stick at night. I know I am august. I do not trouble my soul to vindicate itself or be understood. I see that the elementary laws never apologize. I reckon I behave no prouder than the level I plant my house by, after all. I exist as I am. That is enough. If no other in the world be aware, I sit content. And if each and all be aware, I sit content. One world is aware, and by far the largest to me, and that is myself. And whether I come to my own today, or in 10,000 or 10 million years, I can cheerfully take it now, or with equal cheerfulness, I can wait. My foothold is tendoned and mortised in granite. I laugh at what you call dissolution, and I know the amplitude of time. I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. The pleasures of heaven are with me, and the pains of hell are with me. The first I graft and increase upon myself. The latter I translate into a new tongue. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man. And I say there's nothing greater than the mother of men. I chant the chant of dilation or pride. We've had ducking and deprecating about enough. I show that size is only development. Have you outstripped the rest? Are you the president? It is a trifle. They will more than arrive there, everyone, and still pass on. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. I call to the earth and sea half held by night. Press close, bare-bosomed night. Press close, magnetic, nourishing night. Night of south winds. Night of the large few stars. Still nodding night. Mad, naked summer night. Smile. voluptuous, cool-breathed earth, earth of the slumbering and liquid trees, earth of departed sunset, earth of the misty mountaintops, earth of the vitreous pour of the full moon just tinged with blue, earth of shine and dark, mottling the tide of the river, earth of the limpid gray of clouds, brighter and clearer for my sake, far swooping elbowed earth, rich apple blossomed earth, smile, for your lover comes. Prodigal, you have given me love. Therefore I to you give love. Oh, unspeakable, passionate love.
You see, I resign myself to you also. I guess what you mean. I behold from the beach your crooked, inviting fingers. I believe you refuse to go back without feeling of me. We must have a turn together. I undress. Hurry me out of sight of the land. Cushion me soft. Rock me in billowy drowse. Dash me with amorous wet. I can repay you. Sea of stretched groundswells, sea breathing broad and convulsive breaths, sea of the brine of life and of unshoveled yet always ready graves, howler and scooper of storms, capricious and dainty sea. I am integral with you. I too am of one phase and of all phases. Partaker of influx and efflux, I, extoller of hate and conciliation, extoller of amies and those that sleep in each other's arms. I am he, attesting sympathy. Shall I make my list of things in the house and skip the house that supports them? I am not the poet of goodness only. I do not decline to be the poet of wickedness also. What blurt is this about virtue and about vice? Evil propels me, and reform of evil propels me. I stand indifferent. My gait is no fault finder's or rejector's gait. I moisten the roots of all that has grown. Did you fear some scrofula out of the unflagging pregnancy? Did you guess the celestial laws are yet to be worked over and rectified? I find one side a balance, and the antipodal side a balance. Soft doctrine as steady help as stable doctrine. Thoughts and deeds of the present are rouse and early start. This minute that comes to me over the past decillions, there is no better than it and now. What behaved well in the past or behaves well today is not such a wonder. The wonder is always and always how there can be a mean man or an infidel?
Endless unfolding of words of ages, and mine a word of the modern, the word en masse, a word of the faith that never balks. Here or henceforward, it is all the same to me. I accept time absolutely. It alone is without flaw. It alone rounds and completes all. That mystic baffling wonder alone completes all. I accept reality and dare not question it. Materialism first and last imbuing. Hurrah for positive science. Long live exact demonstration. Fetch stone crop mixed with cedar and branches of lilac. This is the lexicographer. This the chemist. This made a grammar of the old cartouches. These mariners put the ship through dangerous unknown seas. This is the geologist. This works with a scalpel, and this is a mathematician. Gentlemen, to you the first honors always. Your facts are useful, and yet they are not my dwelling. I but enter by them to an area of my dwelling. Less the reminders of properties told my words, and more the reminders they told of life untold, and of freedom and extrication. And make short account of neuters and geldings, and favor men and women fully equipped, and beat the gong of revolt, and stop with fugitives, and them on that plot and conspire.
Walt Whitman, a cosmos of Manhattan the sun, turbulent, fleshy, sensual, eating, drinking, and breeding. No sentimentalist, no stander above men and women, or apart from them. No more modest than immodest. Unscrew the locks from the doors, unscrew the doors themselves from their jambs. Whoever degrades another degrades me, and whatever is done or said returns at last to me. Through me the afflatus surging and surging, through me the current and index. I speak the password primeval, I give the sign of democracy. By God, I will accept nothing which all cannot have their counterpart of on the same terms. Through me many long dumb voices, voices of the interminable generations of prisoners and slaves, voices of the diseased and despairing, and of thieves and dwarfs, voices of cycles of preparation and accretion, and of the threads that connect the stars, and of wombs and of the father stuff, and of the rights of them the others are down upon, of the deformed, trivial, flat, foolish, despised, fog in the air, beetles rolling balls of dung. Through me forbidden voices, voices of sexes and lusts, voices veiled and I remove the veil, voices indecent by me clarified and transfigured. I do not press my fingers across my mouth. I keep as delicate around the bowels as around the head and heart. Copulation is no more rank to me than death is. I believe in the flesh and the appetites. Seeing, hearing, feeling are miracles, and each part and tag of me is a miracle. Divine am I inside and out, and I make holy whatever I touch or am touched from. The scent of these armpits aroma finer than prayer, this head more than churches, Bibles, and all the creeds. If I worship one thing more than another, it shall be the spread of my own body, or any part of it. Translucent mold of me, it shall be you. Shaded ledges and rests, it shall be you. Firm masculine coulter, it shall be you. Whatever goes to the tilt of me, it shall be you. You, my rich blood, your milky stream, pale strippings of my life. Breast that presses against other breasts, it shall be you. My brain, it shall be your occult convolutions.
root of washed street flag, timorous pond snipe, nest of guarded duplicate eggs, it shall be you. Mixed tousled hay of head, beard, brawn, it shall be you. Trickling sap of maple, fiber of manly wheat, it shall be you. Sun so generous, it shall be you. Vapors lighting and shading my face, it shall be you. You sweaty brooks and dews, it shall be you. Winds whose soft tickling genitals rub against me, it shall be you. Broad muscular fields, branches of live oak, loving lounger in my winding paths, it shall be you. Hands I have taken, face I have kissed, mortal I have ever touched, it shall be you. I dote on myself, there is that lot of me and all so luscious. Each moment and whatever happens thrills me with joy. I cannot tell how my ankles bend, nor whence the cause of my faintest wish, nor the cause of the friendship I emit, nor the cause of the friendship I take again. That I walk up my stoop, I pause to consider if it really be. A morning glory at my windows satisfies me more than the metaphysics of books. To behold the daybreak, the little light fades, the immense and diaphanous shadows. The air tastes good to my palate. Hefts of the moving world at innocent gambols, silently rising, freshly exuding, scooting obliquely high and low. Something I cannot see puts upward libidinous prongs. Seas of bright juice suffuse heaven. The earth by the sky stayed with the daily close of their junction. The heave challenge from the east, that moment over my head. The mocking taunt, see then whether you shall be master.
Dazzling and tremendous, how quick the sunrise would kill me if I could not now and always send sunrise out of me. We also ascend dazzling and tremendous as the sun. We found our own, oh my soul, in the calm and cool of the daybreak. My voice goes after what my eyes cannot reach. With the twirl of my tongue, I encompass worlds and volumes of worlds. Speech is the twin of my vision. It is unequal to measure itself. It provokes me forever. It says sarcastically, Walt, you contain enough. Why don't you let it out then? Come now. I will not be tantalized. You conceive too much of articulation. Do you not know, O speech, how the buds beneath you are folded, waiting in gloom, protected by frost, the dirt receding before my prophetical screams? I, underlying cause to balance them at last. My knowledge, my live parts, it keeping tally with the meaning of all things. Happiness, which whoever hears me, let him or her set out in search of this day. My final merit, I refuse you. I refuse putting from me what I really am. Encompass worlds, but never try to encompass me. I crowd your sleekest and best by simply looking toward you. Writing and talk do not prove me. I carry the plenum of proof, and everything else in my face. With a hush of my lips, I wholly confound the skeptic.
Now I will do nothing but listen, to accrue what I hear into this song, to let sounds contribute toward it. I hear bravuras of birds, bustle of growing wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks cooking my meals. I hear the sound I love, the sound of the human voice. I hear all sounds running together, combined, fused, or following. Sounds of the city and sounds out of the city. Sounds of the day and night. Talkative young ones to those that like them. The loud laugh of work people at their meals. The angry bass of disjointed friendship. The faint tones of the sick. The judge with hands tight to the desk, his pallid lips pronouncing a death sentence. The heave-yo of stevedores unlading ships by the wharves, the refrain of the anchor lifters, the ring of alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of swift streaking engines and hose carts with premonitory tinkles and colored lights, the steam whistle, the solid roll of the train of approaching cars, the slow march played at the head of the association, marching two and two. They go to guard some corpse. The flag tops are draped with black muslin. I hear the violoncello. 'Tis the young man's heart's complaint. I hear the keyed cornet. It glides quickly in through my ears. It shakes mad sweet pangs through my belly and breast. I hear the chorus. It is a grand opera. Ah, this indeed is music. This suits me. A tenor large and fresh as the creation fills me. The orbic flex of his mouth is pouring and filling me full. I hear the trained soprano. What work with hers is this? The orchestra whirls me wider than Uranus flies. It wrenches such ardors from me, I did not know I possessed them. It sails me, I dab with bare feet. They are licked by the indolent waves. I am cut by bitter and angry hail. I lose my breath. Steeped amid honeyed morphine, my windpipe throttled in fakes of death. At length let up again to feel the puzzle of puzzles, and that we call being.
I'm going to present to you this section 27 of the poem, which will be in a translation, which will be translated into Sanskrit. So for the convenience of the audience, I'm gonna first read the original in English and thereafter its translation in Sanskrit. To be in any form, what is that? Round and round we go, all of us, and ever come back thither. If not, if nothing lay more developed, the Kuhang in its callous shell were enough. Mine is no callous shell. I have instant conductors all over me, whether I pass or stop. They seize every object and lead it harmlessly through me. I merely steer, press, feel with my fingers, and I'm happy. To touch my person to someone else's is about as much as I can stand. Kin rupain kavchid asti, kin tat. Pradakshinam gachama sarve ahmadyah sarvada punargamyama. यदि किंचति अधिकम न विकसित स्यात् तदा कवागश्य कठिन कोशे पर्याप्तम मम न कठोर कोशः अहम सर्वर्थ निर्देशकान् अविलंबोह प्राप्तान् असिम चरतः व स्थितिः वा ते सर्व वस्तु अवधृत्य संसृजन्ति ममांतरात् अविदूषकः निर्दयः गच्छन्ति अहम केवल घोरिष्यामि दब्धवा मनुष्विना सर्प स्त्वा मदियोर्गुष्ठोः भविष्यामि आनन्दितोषम् मम शरीर कश्चिन्त्यादि अन्यस्य स्पर्शितुं स्पर्श मम शक्नोति इति अहं समर्थः
Hello, this is Tristan Pullen, and I'm reading from Panama City Beach in Florida. Thank you, Karen, for reaching out. I'm going to switch my camera around, and then I will get started. Is this then a touch quivering me to a new identity? Flames that ether making a rush for my veins. Treacherous tips of me reaching and crowding to help me. My flesh and blood playing out lightning to strike what is hardly different from myself. All on sides, perpetuity provokes, stiffening my limbs, straining the udder of my heart for it withheld drip, behaving like Titius towards them, taking no denial, depriving me of my best as for a purpose, unbuttoning my clothes, hold me by the bare waist, diluting my confession with the calm of the sunlight and pasture fields. Immodesty, they bribe to swipe off with touch and go, gaze at the edge of me. No consideration, no regard of my draining strength and my anger. Fetch the rest of the herd around to enjoy them a while. Then all uniting to stand on the headland and worry me. The Sintis desert, every other part of me. They have left me helpless to the red mineral. They all come to the headland to witness and assist against me. I am given up by traitors. I talk wildly. I have lost my wits. I and nobody else am the greatest traitor. I went myself first to the headland. My own hands carried me there. You villain touch, what are you doing? My breath is tight in its throat. Unclench your floodgates. You are too much for me. I'll switch it around this time. For Song of 29, I just want to say that with it being Pride Month, that let the touching touch and let the love grow. And even with all the unrest in the world, that love can win. Blind, loving, wrestling touch. Teeth, hooded, sharp-toothed touch. Did it make you ache so, leaving me? Parting tackled by arriving. Perpetual payment of perpetual loan. Rich showering rain. And recompense richer afterwards. Sprouts take and accumulate, stand by the curb prolific and vital. Landscapes projected masculine, full size, and golden. Thank you, and love all you Whitman lovers.
Hi, I'm Annika. I think you all know me, and I'm going to be reading section 30. All truths wait in all things. They neither hasten their own delivery nor resist it. They do not need the obstetric forceps of the surgeon. The insignificant is as big to me as any. What is less or more than a touch? Logic and sermons never convince. The damp of the night drives deeper into my soul. Only what proves itself to every man and woman is so. Only what nobody denies is so. A minute and a drop of me settle my brain. I believe the soggy clod shall become lovers and lamps, and a compend of compends is the meat of a man or woman, and a summit and flower there is the feeling they have for each other. And they are to branch out boundlessly out of that lesson until it becomes omnific, and until every one shall delight us, and we them.
I will be reading section 31. Okay. I believe a leaf of grass
is no less than the journey work of the stars, and the pismire is equally perfect, and the grain of sand, and the egg of the wren, and the tree toad is chief hors d'oeuvre for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the parlors. Oh no. The parlors of heaven, and the narrowest hinge of my own hand puts to scorn all machinery, and the cow crunching with depressed head surpasses any statue, and a mouse is miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. I find I incorporate gneiss, coal, long-threaded moss, fruits, grains, esculent roots. I am stuccoed with quadrupeds and birds all over, and have distanced what is behind me for good reasons, but call anything back again when I desire it. In vain the speeding or shyness, in vain plutonic rocks send their old heat against my approach. In vain the mastodon retreats beneath its own powdered bones. In vain objects stand leagues off and assume manifold shapes. In vain the ocean settling in hollows and great monsters lying low. In vain the buzzard houses herself with the sky. In vain the snake slides through the creepers and logs. In vain the elk takes to the inner passes of the woods. In vain the razor-billed ox sails far north to Labrador. I follow quickly. I ascend to the nest in the fissure of the cliff. Thank you.
I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they bring me their relations, and I accept them. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Myself moving forward, now and then and forever, gathering and showing more always and with velocity, infinite and omnigenous and the like of these among them, not too exclusive towards the reachers of my remembrancers, picking out here one that I love and now go with him on brotherly terms. A gigantic beauty of a stallion, fresh and responsive to my caresses, head high in the forehead, wide between the ears, limbs glossy and supple, tail dusting the ground, eyes full of sparkling wickedness, ears finely cut, flexibly moving. His nostrils dilate as my heels embrace him. His well-built limbs tremble with pleasure as I race around and return. I but use you a minute, stallion, then I resign you. Why do I need your paces when I myself outgallop them, passing, even as I stand or sit, passing faster than you.
Hi, my name's Douglas Pfeiffer, and I invite you to think about Greg Trupiano, for those of you who remember Greg and used to read this passage each time. Dear Greg Trupiano, a much missed friend and a much missed Whitmaniac. Space and time. Now I see it is true what I guessed at. What I guessed when I loafed on the grass, what I guessed while I lay alone in my bed, and again as I walked the beach under the paling stars of the morning. My ties and my ballasts leave me. My elbows rest in sea gaps. I skirt sierras. My palms cover continents. I am afoot with my vision. By the city's quadrangular houses, in log huts camping with lumbermen, along the ruts of the turnpike, along the dry gulch and rivulet bed, weeding my onion patch, or hoeing rows of carrots and parsnips, crossing savannas, trailing in forest, prospecting, gold digging, girdling the trees of a new purchase, scorched ankle deep by the hot sand, hauling my boat down the shallow river, where the panther walks to and fro on a limb overhead, where the buck turns furiously at the hunter, where the rattlesnake suns his flabby length on a rock, where the otter is feeding on a fish, where the alligator and his tough pimple sleeps by the bayou, where the black bear is searching for roots or honey, where the beaver pats the mud with his paddle-shaped tail, over the growing sugar, over the yellow-flowered cotton plants, over the rice in the low, moist field, over the sharp-peaked farmhouse with its scalloped scum and slender shoots from the gutters, over the western persimmons, over the long-leaved corn, over the delicate blue flower flax, over the white and brown buckwheat, a hummer and buzzer there with the rest, over the dusky green of the rye as it ripples and shades in the breeze. Scaling mountains, pulling myself cautiously up, holding on by low, scragged limbs, walking the path worn in the grass and beat through the leaves of the brush where the quail is whistling betwixt the woods and the wheat lot, where the bat flies in the 7th month eve, where the great gold bug droops through the dark, where the brook puts out the roots of the old oak tree and flows in the meadow, where the cattle stand and shake away flies with the tremulous shuddering of their hides, where the cheesecloth hangs in the kitchen, where andirons straddle the hearth slab, where cobwebs fall in festoons from the rafters, where trip hammers crash, where the press is whirling its cylinders, wherever the human heart beats with terrible throes under its ribs, where the pear-shaped balloon is floating aloft, floating in it myself and looking composedly down, where the life cat is drawn on the slip noose, where the heat hatches pale green eggs in the dented sand, where the she-whale swims with her calf and never forsakes it, where the steamship trails hindways its long pennant and of smoke, where the fin of the shark cuts like a black chip out of the water, where the half-burned brig is riding on unknown currents, where shells grow on her slimy deck, where the dead are corrupting below, where the dense starred flag is borne at the head of the regiments, approaching Manhattan, up by the long stretching island, under Niagara, the cataracts falling like a veil over my countenance, upon a doorstep, upon the horse block of hard wood outside, upon a race course, or enjoying picnics or jigs or a good game of baseball at they festivals with blackguard jibes, ironical license, bull dances, drinking, laughter at the cider mill, tasting the sweets of the brown mash, sucking the juice through a straw, at apple peeling, wanting kisses for all the red fruit I find, at musters, beach parties, friendly bees, husking, house raisings, where the mockingbird sounds his delicious gurgles, cackles, screams, weeps, where the hayrick stands in the barnyard where the dry stalks are gathered, where the brood cow waits in the hovel, where the bull advances to his masculine work, where the stud to the mare, where the cock is treading the hen, where the heifers browse, where geese nip their food with short jerks, where sundown shadows lengthen over the limitless and lonesome prairies, where herds of buffalo make a crawling spread of the square miles far and near, where the hummingbird shimmers, where the neck of the long-lived swan is curving and winding, where the laughing gull scoots by the shore, where she laughs her near-human laugh, where beehives range on a gray bench in the garden half hid by the high weeds, where band-necked partridges roost in a ring on the ground with their heads out, where burial coaches enter the arched gates of a cemetery, where winter wolves bark amid wastes of snow and icicled trees, where the yellow-crowned heron comes to the edge of the marsh at night and feeds upon small crabs, where the splash of swimmers and divers cools the warm noon, where the katydid works her chromatic reed on the walnut tree over the well, through patches of citrons and cucumbers with silver-wired leaves, through the salt lick or orange glade or under conical firs, through the gymnasium, through the curtained saloon, through the office or public hall, pleased with the native and pleased with the foreign, pleased with the new and old, pleased with the homely woman as well as the handsome, pleased with the Quakeress as she puts off her bonnet and talks melodiously, pleased with the tune of the choir of the whitewashed church, pleased with the earnest words of the sweating Methodist preacher, impressed seriously at the camp meeting. Looking in at the shop windows of Broadway, the whole forenoon, flattening the flesh of my nose on the thick, plain plate glass, wandering the same afternoon with my face turned up to the clouds or down a lane or along the beach. My right and left arms round the sides of two friends and I in the middle. Coming home with the silent and dark-cheeked bush boy. Behind me, he rides at the drape of the day, far from the settlement, studying the print of animals' feet or a moccasin print. By the cot in the hospital, reaching lemonade to a feverish patient, nigh the coffined corpse, when all is still, examining with a candle. Voyaging to every port, to dicker and adventure, hurrying with the modern crowd as eager and fickle as any, hot towards one I hate, ready in my madness to knife him. Solitary at midnight in my backyard, my thoughts gone from me a long while, walking the old hills of Judea with the beautiful, gentle God by my side, speeding through a pace, speeding through heaven and the stars, speeding amid the 7 satellites and the broad ring and the diameter of 80,000 miles, speeding with failed meteors, fireballs like the rest, carrying the crescent child that carries its own mother in its belly, storming, enjoying, planning, loving, cautioning, backing and filling, appearing and disappearing. I tread day and night such roads. I visit the orchard of the spheres and look at the products and look at quintillions ripened and look at quintillions green. I fly those flights of a fluid and swallowing soul. My course runs below the sounding of plummets. I help myself to material and immaterial. No guard can shut me off, no law prevent me. I anchor my ship for a little while only. My messengers continually cruise away or bring their returns to me. I go hunting polar furs and the seal, leaping chasms with a pike-pointed staff, clinging to topples of brittle and blue. I ascend to the foretruck. I take my place at night in the crow's nest. We sail the Arctic Sea. It is plenty light enough. Through the clear atmosphere, I stretch around on the wonderful beauty. The enormous masses of ice pass me, and I pass them. The scenery is plain in all directions. The white-topped mountains show in the distance. I fling out my fancies towards them. We are approaching some great battlefield, which we are soon to be engaged. We pass the colossal outposts of the encampment. We pass with still feet and caution, or we are entering by the suburbs some vast and ruined city. The blocks and fallen architecture more than all the living cities of the globe. I am a free companion. I bivouac by invading watchfires. I turn the bridegroom out of bed and stay with the bride myself. I tighten her all night to my thighs and lips. My voice is the wife's voice. The screech by the rail of the stairs. They fetch my man's body up, dripping and drowned. I understand the large hearts of heroes, the courage of present times and all times. How the skipper saw the crowded and rudderless wreck of the steamship and death chasing it up and down the storm. How he knuckled tight and gave not back an inch and was faithful of days and faithful of nights, and chalked in large letters on a board, "Be of good cheer, we will not desert you." How he followed with them and tacked with them 3 days and would not give it up. How he saved the drifting company at last, how the lank, loose-gowned women looked when boated from the side of their prepared graves, how the silent, old-faced infants and the lifted sick and the sharp-lipped, unshaven men. All this I swallow. It tastes good. I like it well. It becomes mine. I am the man. I suffered. I was there. The disdain and the calmness of martyrs. The mother of old, condemned for a witch, burnt with dry wood, her children gazing on. The hounded slave that flags in the race, leans by the fence, blowing, covered with sweat, the twinges that sting like needles, his legs and neck, the murderous buckshot and the bullets, all these I feel or am. I am the hounded slave. I wince at the bite of the dogs. Hell and despair are upon me. Crack! And crack again the marksman. I clutch the rail of the fence, my gore dribs, thinned with the ooze of my skin. I fall on the weeds and the stones. The riders spur their unwilling horses, haul close, taunt my dizzy ears, and beat me violently over the head with whipstocks. Agonies are one of my changes of garments. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. My hurts turn livid upon me as I lean on a cane and observe. I am the mashed fireman with breastbone broken, tumbling walls buried me in their debris, heat and smoke. I heard the yelling shouts of my comrades. I heard the distant click of their picks and shovels. They have cleared the beams away. They tenderly lift me forth. I lie in the night air in my red shirt. The prevailing hush is for my sake. Painless after all. I lie, but am not so unhappy. White and beautiful are the faces around me. The heads are bared of their fire caps. The kneeling crowd fades with the light of the torches. Distant and dead resuscitate. They show as the dial or move as the hands of me. I am the clock myself. Or I am an old artillerist. I tell of my fort's bombardment. I am there again, the long roll of the drummers, again, the attacking cannon, mortars, again to my listening ears, the cannon responsive. I take part. I see and hear the whole, the cries, curses, roar, the plaudits for well-aimed shots, the ambulanza slowly passing, trailing its red drip, workmen searching after damages, making indispensable repairs, the fall of the grenades through the rent roof, the fan-shaped explosion, the whiz of limbs, heads, stones, wood, iron, high in the air. Again gurgles the mouth of my dying general. He furiously waves his hand. He gasps through the clot. Mind not me! Mind the entrenchments!
I tell not the fall of Alamo. No one escaped to tell the fall of Alamo. The 150 are dumb yet at Alamo. Hear now the tale of a jet black sunrise. Hear of the murder in cold blood of 412 young men. Retreating, they had formed in a hollow square with their baggage for breastworks. 900 lives out of the surrounding enemies, 9 times their number, was the price they took in advance. Their colonel was wounded, and their ammunition gone. They treated for an honorable capitulation, received writing and seal, gave up their arms, and marched back prisoners of war. They were the glory of the race of rangers, matchless with a horse, a rifle, a song, a supper of a courtship. Large, turbulent, brave, handsome, generous, proud and affectionate, bearded, sunburnt, dressed in the free costume of hunters, not a single one over 30 years of age. The second Sunday morning, they were brought out in squads and massacred. It was beautiful early summer. The work commenced about 5 o'clock and was over by 8. None obeyed the command to kneel. Some made a mad and helpless rush. Some stood stark and straight. A few fell at once, shot in the temple or heart. The living and dead lay together. The maimed and mangled dug in the dirt. The newcomers saw them there. Some half-killed attempted to crawl away. They were dispatched with bayonets or battered with the blunts of muskets. A youth, not 17 years old, seized his assassin till 2 more came to release him. The 3 were all torn and covered in the boy's blood. At 11 o'clock began the burning of the bodies. And that is the tale of the murder of the 412 young men. And that was a jet black sunrise. Did you read in the sea books of the old-fashioned frigate fight? Did you learn who won by the light of the moon and stars? Our foe was no skulk in his ship, I tell you. He was the English pluck, and there is no tougher or truer, and never was and never will be. Along the lowered eve he came, horribly raking us. We closed with him, the yards entangled, the cannon touched. My captain lashed fast with his own hands. We had received some 18-pound shots under the water. On our lower gun deck, 2 large pieces had burst at the first fire, killing all around and blowing up overhead. 10 o'clock at night, and the full moon shining, and the leaks on the gain, and 5 feet of water reported. The master-at-arms loosing the prisoners confined in the afterhold to give them a chance for themselves. The transit to and from the magazine was now stopped by the sentinels. They saw so many strange faces, they did not know whom to trust. Our frigate was afire. The other asked if we demanded quarters, if our colors were struck and the fighting done. I laughed content when I heard the voice of my little captain. We have not struck, he composedly cried. We have just begun our part of the fighting. Only 3 guns were in use. One was directed by the captain himself against the enemy's main mast. 2, well served with grape and canister, silenced his musketry and cleared his decks. The tops alone seconded the fire of this little battery, especially the main top. They all held out bravely during the whole of the action. Not a moment ceased. The leaks gained fast on the pumps. The fire eats towards the powder magazine. One of the pumps was shot away. It was generally thought we were sinking. Serene stood the little captain. He was not hurried. His voice was neither high nor low. His eyes gave more light to us than our battle lanterns. Toward 12 at night, there in the beams of the moon, they surrendered to us. Stretched and still lay the midnight. 2 great hulls motionless on the breast of the darkness. Our vessel riddled and slowly sinking. Preparations to pass to the one we had conquered. The captain on the quarterdeck coldly giving his orders through a countenance white as a sheet. Nearby, the corpse of the child that served in the cabin. The dead face of an old salt, white hair and carefully curled whiskers. The flame, spite of all that could be done, flickering aloft and below. The husky voices of the 2 or 3 officers yet fit for duty. Formless stacks of bodies, and bodies by themselves. Dabs of flesh upon the masts and spars. The cut of cordage and the dangle of rigging. The slight shock of the waves, the soothe of waves. Black and impressive guns and litter of powder parcels and the strong scent, delicate sniffs of the sea breeze. Smell of sedgy grass and fields by the shore. Death messages given in charge to survivors. The hiss of the surgeon's knife and the gnawing teeth of his saw. The wheeze, the cluck, the swash of falling blood. The short, wild scream. The long, dull, tapering groan. These so, these irretrievable.
You laggards there on guard, look to your arms. In at the conquered doors they crowd. I am possessed. Embody all presences outlawed or suffering. See myself in prison, shaped like another man, and feel the dull, unintermitted pain. For me, the keepers of convicts shoulder their carbines and keep watch. It is I let out in the morning and barred at night. Not a mutineer walks handcuffed to jail, but I am handcuffed to him and walk by his side. I am the less jolly one there, and more the silent one with sweat on my twitching lips. Not a youngster is taken for larceny, but I go up to and am tried and sentenced. Not a cholera patient lies at the last gasp, but I also lie at the last gasp. My face is ash-colored. My sinews gnarl. Away from me, people retreat. Askers embody themselves in me, and I am embodied in them. I project my hat. Sit, shamefaced, and beg. Enough. 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 Somehow I've been stunned. Stand back. Give me a little time beyond my tufted head. Slumbers. Dreams. Gaping. I discover myself on the verge of a usual mistake. That I could forget the mockers and insults. That I could forget the trickling tears and the blows of the bludgeons and hammers. That I could look with a separate look on my own crucifixion and bloody crowning. I remember now. I resume the overstayed fraction. The grave of rock multiplies what has been confided to it or to any grave. Corpses rise, gashes heal, fastenings roll from me. I troop forth replenished with supreme power, one of an average, unending procession. Inland and seacoast we go and pass all boundary lines. Our swift ordinances on their way over the whole earth. The blossoms we wear in our hats, the growth of thousands of years. Eleves, I salute you. Come forward. Continue your annotations. Continue your questionings.
John, we see you. You're all ready to go.
Okay. The friendly and flowing savage. Who is he? Is he waiting for civilization or past it and mastering it? Is he some Southwesterner raised outdoors? Hey, is he a Canadian? Is he from the Mississippi country or from Iowa, Oregon, or California, or from the mountain, or prairie life, or bush life, or from the sea? Wherever he goes, men and women accept and desire him. They desire he should like them and touch them and speak to them and stay with them. behavior lawless as snowflakes, words simple as grass, uncombed head and laughter and naivete, whatever, slow stepping feet and the common features and the common modes and emanations. They descend in new forms from the tips of his fingers. They are wafted with the odor of his body or breath. They fly out of the glance of his eyes. Flaunt of the sunlight, I need not your bask. Lie over. You light surfaces only. I force the surfaces and the depths also. Earth, you seem to look for something at my hands. Say, old topknot, what do you want? Man or woman? I might tell how I like you, but cannot. And might tell what it is in me and what it is in you, but cannot. And might tell the pinings I have, the pulse of my nights and days. Behold, I do not give lectures or a little charity. What I give out of myself. You there, impotent, loosen the knees, open your scarfed chops, and till I blow grit within you. Spread your palms and lift the flaps of your pockets. I am not to be denied. I compel. I have stores plenty and to spare, and anything I have, I bestow. I do not ask who you are. That is not important to me. You can do nothing and be nothing but what I will enfold you. To the drudge of the cotton fields or the emptier of privies, I lean. On his right cheek, I put the family kiss. And in my soul, I swear I never will deny him. On women fit for conception, I start bigger and nimbler babes. Whoa. This day, I am jetting the stuff of far more arrogant republics. To anyone dying, thither I speed and twist the knob of the door, turn the bedcloths towards the foot of the bed, let the physician and the priest go home. I seize the descending man, I raise him with resistless will. O despairer, here is my neck. By God, you shall not go down. Hang your whole weight upon me. I dilate you with tremendous breath. I buoy you up. Every room in the house do I fill with armed force, lovers of me, bafflers of graves. Sleep. I and they keep guard all night. Not doubt, not decease shall dare to lay a finger upon you. I have embraced you and henceforth possess you to myself. And when you rise in the morning, you will find what I tell you is so.
Jay,
Yes, hi.
you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I clicked on video, but I'm not showing up. So, Jesus.
Jay, we can see you and hear you. You're fine.
Okay, thank you. I don't see me, but that's quite all right. Okay, everybody. Hi, Jay Sherry here, section 41, from reading from one of Brooklyn's ample hills. I am he bringing help for the sick as they pant on their backs. And for strong, upright men, I bring yet more needed help. I hear what was said of the universe, heard it, and heard of several thousand years. It is middling well as far as it goes, but is that all? Magnifying and applying come I. outbidding at the start the old cautious hucksters. The most they offer for mankind and eternity, less than a spirit of my own seminal wet. Taking myself the exact dimensions of Jehovah and laying them away. Lithographing Cronus and Zeus, his son, and Hercules, his grandson. Buying drafts of Osiris and Isis and Belus and Brahma and Adonai. In my portfolio, placing Manitou loose and Allah on a leaf and the crucifix engraved, with Odin and the hideous-faced Mixidli and all idols and images, honestly taking them all for what they are worth and not a cent more. Admitting they were alive and did the work of their day, admitting they bore mites as for unfledged birds who have now to rise and fly and sing for themselves, accepting the rough deific sketches to fill out better in myself, bestowing them freely on each man and woman I see, discovering as much or more in a framer framing a house, putting higher claims for him there with his roll-up sleeves, driving the mallet and chisel, not objecting to special revelations, considering a curl of smoke or a hair on the back of my hand as curious as any revelation. Those a hold of fire engines and hook and ladder ropes, more to me than the gods of the antique wars. Minding their voices peal through the crash of destruction, their brawny limbs passing safe over charred laths, their white foreheads whole and unhurt out of the flames. But the mechanic's wife, with her babe at her nipple, interceding for every person born. 3 sighs at harvest whizzing in a row from 3 lusty angels with shirts bagged out at their waists. The snag-toothed hustler with red hair redeeming sins past and to come. Selling all he possesses and traveling on foot to feed lawyers for his brother and sit by him while he is tried for forgery. What was strewn in the amplest strewing the square rod about me and not filling the square rod then. The bull and the bug never worshipped half enough. Dung and dirt more admirable than was dreamed. The supernatural of no account, myself waiting my time to be one of the supremes. The day getting ready for me when I shall do as much good as the best and be as prodigious. Guessing when I am, it will not tickle me much to receive puffs out of pulpit or print. By my life lumps, becoming already a creator. Putting myself here and now to the ambushed womb of the shadows.
Section 42. Oh, sorry.
A call in the midst of the crowd. My own voice, Oraton, sweeping and final. Come, my children, come, my boys and girls, and my women and household and intimates. Now the performer launches his nerve. He has passed his prelude on the reeds within. Easily written, loose-fingered chords, I feel the thrum of their climax and close. My head evolves on my neck. Music rolls, but not from the organ. Folks are around me, but they are no household of mine. Even the hard and unsunk ground, ever the hard and unsunk ground, ever the eaters and drinkers, ever the upward and downward sun, ever the air and the ceaseless tides, ever myself and my neighbors, refreshing and wicked and real, ever the old inexplicable query, ever that thorn thumb, that breath of itches and thirsts, ever the vexers till we find where the sly one hides and bring him forth, ever love, ever the sobbing liquid of life, ever the bandage under the chin, ever the trestles of death. Here and there with dimes on the eyes, walking, to feed the greed of the belly, the brains liberally spooning, tickets buying or taking or selling, but into the feast never once going. Many sweating and plowing and thrashing, and then the chaff for payment receiving. A few idly owning, and they the wheat continually claiming. This is the city. I am one of the citizens. Whatever interests the rest interests me. Politics, churches, newspapers, schools, benevolent societies, improvements, banks, tariffs, steamships, factories, markets, stocks and stores and real estate and personal estate. They who piddle and patter here in collars and tailed coats, I am aware who they are, and that they are not worms or fleas. I acknowledge the duplicates of myself under all the scrape-lipped and pipe-legged concealments. The weakest and shallowest as deathless with me, the shallowest is deathless with me. What I do and say, the same waits for them. Every thought that flounders in me, the same flounders in them. I know perfectly well my own egotism, and know my omnivorous words, and cannot say any less, and would fetch you, whoever you are, flush with myself. My words are words of questioning, and to indicate reality. This printed and bound book, but the printer and the printer office boy, the marriage estate and settlement, but the body and mind of the bridegroom, also those of the bride, the panorama of the sea, but the sea itself, the well-taken photographs, but your wife or friend close and solid in your arms, the fleet of ships of the line and all the modern improvements, but the craft and pluck of the admiral, the dishes and fare and furniture, but the host and hostess and the look out of their eyes. The sky up there, yet here or next door or across the way, the saints and sages in history, but yourself? Sermons and creeds and theology, but the human brain, and what is called reason, and what is called love, and what is called life.
Thank you so much, Faye. Faye jumped in because we could first Charles was supposed to read, and then Paco very kindly volunteered to read. And then when I didn't see Paco, then Faye stepped up. So You all know, as if you've listened to this marathon before, one of the beautiful things about it is hearing different interpretations. So you just received Faye's really brilliant feeling version of 42, and now I'm going to let our friend Paco read it for you. So everyone, this is again section 42, a section that really deserves to be read twice. Paco and Faye, thank you both.
Thank you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you guys can listen to me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Paco.
Okay, sorry. Get a little trouble with this thing. Okay, I'm gonna read it in Spanish. Section 42. Un grito en medio de la multitud. Mi propia rotunda voz arrolladora y final. Vengan, hijos míos, vengan, mis muchachos y muchachas, mujeres mías, familiares y amigos. Ahora el cantante lanza su nervio. Ha pasado el preludio de las flautas interiores. Los acordes sencillos de componer, de dedos ligeros, siento el retumbo de su clímax y fin. Mi cabeza gira en mi cuello, la música trepida, pero no desde el órgano. Hay gentes a mi alrededor, pero no son de mi hogar. Siempre la dura llana tierra, siempre los que comen y los que beben, siempre el sol levante y el sol poniente, siempre el aire y las incesantes mareas, siempre yo y mis vecinos, refrescantes, pícaros, reales, siempre la vieja pregunta inexplicable, siempre este espinado dedo, el gemido del picazón y del hambre, siempre las palabras de aliento, hasta que descubrimos lo que se oculta y lo dejamos salir, siempre el amor, siempre la sollozante linfa de la vida, siempre el pañuelo que sujeta la mandíbula del difunto, siempre los caballetes de la muerte, aquí y allí, con monedas en los ojos, andando, para satisfacer la gula del vientre, el cerebro, dando cucharadas, boletos comprando, tomando, vendiendo, pero a la fiesta nunca yendo. Gente que suda, que ara, que trilla y que recibe la paja como sueldo. Los pocos ricos perezosamente reclamando ese trigo sin cesar. Esta es la ciudad y yo soy uno de sus ciudadanos. Lo que interesa a los demás me interesa a mí. La política, las guerras, los mercados, los periódicos, las escuelas, el alcalde y los consejos, los bancos, las tarifas, los navíos, las fábricas, las acciones, las tiendas, los bienes muebles y los bienes inmuebles, los innumerables hombrecillos que trataron y que trotan metidos en sus cuellos y en sus trajes coludos. Sé muy bien quiénes son. No son gusanos, no son pulgas. Reconozco en ellos las repeticiones de mí mismo. El más débil y vacío es inmortal conmigo. Lo que hago y digo les atañe igualmente. Cada idea que se agita en mí se agita igualmente en ellos. Sé perfectamente mi propia egolatría. Sé lo omnívoros que son mis versos y que debo escribir tanto, y mi anhelo sería elevarlos, quien quiera que sean, a mi propio nivel. Esta canción mía no está hecha con las palabras de la rutina, sino con bruscas interrogaciones para saltar más allá, pero al mismo tiempo llevar más cercano. Este libro impreso y encuadernado, pero ¿y el tipógrafo? ¿Y el aprendiz de la imprenta? Las fotografías bien tomadas, pero ¿y su mujer? ¿Y su amigo? ¿Opreso sólidamente entre sus brazos? Una, una negra nave acorazada de hierro con sus potentes cañones sobre sus torrecillas. Pero, ¿qué hay del coraje del capitán? ¿Y qué hay de los mecánicos? Dentro de las casas, los platos y la comida, y están los muebles también. Pero, ¿y el señor y la señora de la casa? ¿Y las miradas que irradian sus ojos? El cielo, allá, más. ¿Aquí qué hay? ¿O la casa de al lado, o enfrente de aquí? Los santos y los sabios de la historia. Pero ¿qué hay de ti mismo? Los sermones, los credos, las teologías, pero y el insondable cerebro humano, y qué es la razón, y qué es el amor, y qué es la vida.
I do not despise you priests, all time, the world over. My faith is the greatest of faiths, and the least of faiths, enclosing worship ancient and modern, and all between ancient and modern, believing I shall come again upon the earth after 5,000 years. Waiting responses from oracles, honoring the gods, saluting the sun, making a fetish of the first rock or stump, powwowing with sticks in the circle of office, helping the lama or Brahmin as he trims the lamps of the idols, dancing yet through the streets in a phallic procession, wrapped and austere in the woods, a gymnosophist, drinking mead from the skull cap to Shastas and Vedas, admirant, minding the Quran, walking the Toacalis, spotted with gore from the stone and knife, beating the serpent skin drum, accepting the Gospels, accepting him that was crucified, knowing assuredly that he is divine. To the Mass kneeling, or the Puritan's prayer rising, or sitting patiently in a pew, ranting and frothing in my insane crisis, or waiting, dead-like, till my spirit arouses me, looking forth on pavement and land, or outside of pavement and land, belonging to the winders of the circuit of circuits. One of that centripetal and centrifugal gang, I turn and talk like a man leading charges before a journey. Downhearted doubters, dull and excluded, frivolous, sullen, moping, angry, affected, disheartened, atheistical. I know every one of you. I know the sea of torment, doubt, despair, and unbelief. How the flukes splash, how they contort rapid as lightning with spasms and spouts of blood. Be at peace, bloody flukes of doubters and sullen mopers. I take my place among you as much as any. The past is the push of me, you, all precisely the same. And what is yet untried and afterwards is for you, me, all precisely the same. I do not know what is untried and afterward, but I know that it will in its turn prove sufficient and cannot fail. Each who passes is considered, each who stops is considered. Not a single one can it fail. It cannot fail the young man who died and was buried, nor the young woman who died and was put by his side, nor the little child that peeped in at the door and then drew back and was never seen again, nor the old man who has lived without purpose and feels it with bitterness worse than gall, nor him in the poorhouse tubercled by rum and the bad disorder, nor the numberless slaughtered and wrecked, nor the brutish Kobu called the order of humanity, nor the sacks merely floating with open mouths for food to slip in, nor anything in the earth, or down in the oldest graves of the earth, nor anything in the myriads of spheres, nor the myriads of myriads that inhibit them, nor the present, nor the least wisp that is known.
It is time to explain myself. Let us stand up. What is known, I strip away. I launch all men and women forward with me into the unknown. The clock indicates the moment. But what does eternity indicate? We have thus far exhausted trillions of winters and summers. There are trillions ahead and trillions ahead of them. Births have brought us richness and variety, and other births will bring us richness and variety. I do not call one greater and one smaller. that which fills its period and place is equal to any. Were mankind murderous or jealous upon you, my brother, my sister? I am sorry for you. They are not murderous or jealous upon me. All has been gentle with me. I keep no account with lamentation. What have I to do with lamentation? I am an acme of things accomplished, and I am an encloser of things to be. My feet strike an apex of the apices of the stairs. On every step, bunches of ages, and larger bunches between the steps, all below duly traveled, and still I mount and mount. Rise after rise, bow the phantoms behind me. Far down I see the huge first nothing. I know I was even there. I waited unseen and always, and slept through the lethargic mist, and took my time, and took no hurt from the fetid carpet. Long I was hugged close, long and long. Immense have been the preparations for me. Faithful and friendly the arms that have helped me. Cycles ferried my cradle, rowing and rowing like cheerful boatmen. For room to me, stars kept aside in their own rings. They sent influences to look after what was to hold me. Before I was born out of my mother, generations guided me. My embryo has never been torpid. Nothing could overlay it. For it, the nebula cohered to an orb, the long, slow strata piled to rest it on. Vast vegetables gave it sustenance. Monstrous sauroids transported it in their mouths and deposited with care. All forces have been steadily employed to complete and delight me. Now on this spot, I stand with my robust soul.
And you hear James. James Kaplinger, section 45. Can you hear me?
James, we can, I mean, I just heard that, but it was pretty in and out before that. You want to just try a few lines, and if it's really unclear, maybe we'll just ask someone else to step up. But we'd all love to hear you do it if the internet plays fair.
Absolutely. Oh, fan of you, oh man, my lover suffocates me, crowding my lips in the pores of my skin, jostling me through streets and public halls, naked to me at night, crying by day, the rocks of the river swinging and chirping over my head, calling my name from far, tangled under, lighting on every moment of my life. Crushing my body with soft osmic muscles, noiselessly casting handfuls out of their hearts, giving them to be mine. Old age, family rising, oh welcome ineffable grace of dying days. Every condition promulges not only itself, it promulges what grows after and out of itself. And the dark heart promulges as much as any. Night, through the far springs, and all I see is like in cipher, edge of the rim of the Father. Why do they expand? Oh, outward and outward and forever out.
beside them. There is no stoppage and never can be stopped. If I, you, and the world and all things were upon them, were this moment reduced back to a pallid float, it would not avail in the long run. We should surely bring up again where we now stand, and surely go as much farther and you, quadrillion, do not hazard the fan and make it efficient. They are but is not the ever so often around that. My heart is certain. The Lord will be there and wait till I come on perfect.
James, I think we lost you actually. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. Nothing worse than being interrupted with a fantastic reading, but you were breaking up so much and then you didn't move. I'm so sorry.
No, it's my right. I have no idea what occurred, but I'm glad it happened.
No, no problem. You know what our tech person, Carlin, recommended? Can you get closer to the mic? Is that possible? Just maybe try the last stanza closer up to the mic.
Sure. My rendezvous is appointed. It is certain the Lord will be there and wait till I come on perfect terms. The great camarado, the lover for whom I pine, will be there.
Oh my gosh, we heard you loud and clear. Do you want to do the passage again?
Sure. I mean, just Kieran, maybe go put your video on and tell me if you are make an image, so I'll know if I'm breaking up, and I'll just stop.
You know, I will just jump in, but I think Carlin was right. The key is you've got to get closer to your mic. Like we can hear you now very nicely. Thank you, Carlin.
Thank you, Carlin. Oh, span of youth, ever pushing elasticity. Oh, manhood balanced, florid and full. My lovers suffocate me, crowding my lips thick in the pores of my skin, jostling me through streets and public halls, coming naked to me at night, crying by day, ahoy! From the rocks of the river, swinging and chirping over my head, calling my name from flower beds, vines, tangled underbrush, lighting on every moment of my life, bussing my body with soft balsamic busses, noisily passing handfuls out of their hearts and giving them to be mine. Old age, superbly rising, oh, welcome ineffable grace of dying days. Every condition promulges not only itself, it promulges what grows after and out of itself, and the dark hush promulges as much as any. I open my scuttle at night and see the far sprinkled systems, and all I see multiplied as high as I can cipher edge, but to the rim of the farther systems. Wider and wider they spread, expanding, always expanding, outward and outward, and forever outward. My son has his son, and round him obediently wheels. He joins his partners, a group of superior circuit, and greater sets follow, making specks of the greatest inside. There is no stoppage, and never can be stoppage. If I, you, and the worlds and all beneath their surfaces were this moment reduced back to a pallid float, it would not avail in the long run. We should surely bring up again where now we stand, and surely go as much farther, and then farther and farther. A few quadrillions of errors, a few octillions of cubic leagues. Do not hazard the span or make it impatient. They are but parts. Anything is but a part. See ever so far, there's limitless
We were doing so well. Oh no, we lost him. All right. Well, I think James, can you hear
Count!
me?
My rendezvous is appointed. It is till I come on perfect terms. Don? All right.
I thank you so much. I think you actually managed to do it. Thank you, James. You deserve like huge applause for going through that. But we did catch almost all of it. Thank you so much.
Apologies.
That was marvelous. 46. I know I have the best of time and space, and was never measured, and never will be measured. I tramp a perpetual journey. Come listen all. My signs are a rainproof coat, good shoes, and a staff cut from the woods. No friend of mine takes his ease in my chair. I have no chair, no church, no philosophy. I lead no man to a dinner table, library, exchange. But each man and each woman of you I lead upon a knoll, my left hand hooking you round the waist, my right hand pointing to landscapes of continents and the public road. Not I, not anyone else can travel that road for you. You must travel it for yourself. It is not far. It is within reach. Perhaps you have been on it since you were born and did not know. Perhaps it is everywhere on water and land. Shoulder your duds, dear son, and I will mine. And let us hasten forth. Wonderful cities and free nations we shall fetch as we go. If you tire, give me both burdens and rest the chaff of your hand on my hip. And in due time, you shall repay the same service to me. For after we start, we never lie by again. This day before dawn, I ascended a hill and looked at the crowded heaven. And I said to my spirit, when we become the enfolders of those orbs and the pleasure and knowledge of everything in them, shall we be filled and satisfied then? And my spirit said, no, but we level that lift to pass and continue beyond. You are also asking me questions, and I hear you. I answer that I cannot answer. You must find out for yourself. Sit a while, dear son. Here are biscuits to eat, and here is milk to drink. But as soon as you sleep and renew yourself in sweet clothes, I kiss you with a goodbye kiss and open the gate for your egress hence. Long enough have you dreamed contemptible dreams. Now I wash the gum from your eyes. You must habit yourself to the dazzle of the light and of every moment of your life. Long have you timidly waited, holding a plank by the shore. Now I will you to be a bold swimmer, to jump off in the midst of the sea, rise again, nod to me, shout, and laughingly dash with your hair.
I am the teacher of athletes. He that by me spreads a wider breast than my own, proves the width of my own. He most honors my style, who learns under it to destroy the teacher. The boy I love, the same becomes a man, not through derived power, but in his own right. Wicked rather than virtuous out of conformity or fear. Fond of his sweetheart, relishing well his steak. unrequited love, or a slight cutting him worse than sharp steel cuts? First rate to ride, to fight, to hit the bullseye, to sail a skiff, to sing a song or play on the banjo. Preferring scars and the beard and faces pitted with smallpox over all latherers, and those well-tanned to those that keep out of the sun. I teach straying from me, yet who can stray from me? I follow you, whoever you are, from the present hour. My words itch at your ears till you understand them. I do not say these things for $1, or to fill up the time while I wait for a boat. It is you talking just as much as myself. I act as the tongue of you. Tied in your mouth, in mine it begins to be loosened. I swear I will never again mention love or death inside a house. And I swear I will never translate myself at all. Only to him or her who privately stays with me in the open air. If you would understand me, go to the heights or water shore. The nearest gnat is an explanation, and a drop or motion of waves a key. The maul, the oar, the handsaw second my words. No shuttered room or school can commune with me, but roughs and little children better than they. The young mechanic is closest to me. He knows me well. The woodman that takes his axe and jug with him shall take me with him all day. The farm boy plowing in the field feels good at the sound of my voice. In vessels that sail, my words sail. I go with fishermen and seamen and love them. The soldier, camped or upon the march, is mine. On the night air, the pending battle, many seek me, and I do not fail them. On that solemn night, it may be their last. Those that know me seek me. My face rubs to the hunter's face when he lies down alone in his blanket. The driver, thinking of me, does not mind the jolt of his wagon. The young mother and old mother comprehend me. The girl and the wife rest the needle a moment and forget where they are. They and all would resume what I have told them.
I have said that the soul is not more than the body, and I have said that the body is not more than the soul, and nothing, not God, is greater to one than oneself is. And whoever walks a furlong without sympathy walks to his own funeral dressed in his shroud. And I or you, pocketless of a dime, may purchase the pick of the earth, and to glance with an eye, or show a bean in its pod, confounds the learning of all times. And there is no trade or employment, but the young man following it may become a hero. And there is no object so soft, but it makes a hub for the wheeled universe. And I say to any man or woman, let your soul stand cool and composed before 1,000,000 universes. And I say to mankind, be not curious about God, for I, who am curious about each, am not curious about God. No array of terms can say how much I am at peace about God and about death. I hear and behold God in every object, yet understand God not in the least. Nor do I understand who there can be more wonderful than myself. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God each hour of the 24, and each moment then. In the faces of men and women I see God, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that wheresoe'er I go, others will punctually come forever and ever.
Hi, everyone. You probably know Paula Kemper, who set the entire poem, Song of Myself, to music in 2019. I still remember getting the emails and just the weekly gift of hearing Paula. Thank you so much, Paula, and thank you doubly because Paula has given her section 49 to Larry Mass, who just tuned in with us. So Larry, you are invited to read section 49. All you have to do is unmute yourself and turn on your screen. I think you are still muted, Larry.
Thank you so much, Karen. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You're there.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks very much, Karen, and the Whitman Initiative for inviting me to participate in this lovely event. I'm honored to be here. With your indulgence, I, a truly novice Whitmanian, will attempt to give voice to Whitman's sublime, soulful words. And in switching these passages, I'm going to be doing this blind and cold. So everybody fasten their seatbelts. Okay, so just quickly, I'm Larry Mass, the surviving life partner of Arnie Kantrowitz. Arnie was a gay activist, writer, and Whitman scholar who fought bravely to have Whitman's gayness better understood and honored. He's the author of a picaresque novel that's being published posthumously this fall called Song of Myself. It's the story of a young gay man like Arnie growing up in a small town pre-gay liberation World War II America. The only resource the boy has to better understand himself is a copy of Whitman's Leaves of Grass, given him by a teacher who intuited the boy's gayness. Arnie's book will be launched at the LGBTQ Center in New York City on Sunday, September 22nd at 3 p.m. Hope to see you there. Okay, and now for section 49. And as to you, death, and you better hug of mortality, it is idle to try to alarm me. To his work without flinching, the accoucheur comes. I see the elder hand pressing, receiving, supporting. I recline by the sills of the exquisite flexible doors and mark the outlet and mark the relief and escape. And as to you, corpse, I think you are good manure, but that does not offend me. I smell the white roses, sweet-scented and growing. I reach to the leafy lips. I reach to the polished breasts of melons. And as to you, life, I reckon you are the leavings of many deaths. No doubt I have died myself 10,000 times before. I hear you whispering there, O stars of heaven, O suns, O grass of graves, O perpetual transfers and promotions. If you do not say anything, how can I say anything? Of the turbid pool that lies in the autumn forest, of the moon that descends, the steeps of the sloughing twilight, toss sparkless of day and dusk, toss on the black stems that decay in the muck, toss to the moaning gibberish of the dry limbs. I ascend from the moon, I ascend from the night. I perceive the ghastly glimmer in noonday sunbeams noonday sunbeams reflected, and debauched to the steady and central from the offspring great or small.
There's that in me. I do not know what it is, but I know it is in me. Wrenched and sweaty. Calm and cool that my body becomes. I sleep. I sleep long. I do not know it. It is without name. It's a word unsaid. It's not in any dictionary, utterance, symbol. Something it swings on. More than the earth I swing on. To it, the creation is the friend whose embracing wakes me. Perhaps I might tell more. Outlines. I plead for my brothers and sisters. Do you see? Oh, my brothers and sisters. It's not chaos or death. It's form, union, plan. It is eternal life. It is happiness.
Section 51. The past and present wilt. I have filled them, emptied them, and proceed to fill my next fold of the future. Listener up there, what have you to confide to me? Look in my face while I snuff the silence of evening. Talk honestly, no one else hears you, and I stay only a minute longer. Do I contradict myself? Very well, then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. I concentrate toward them that are nigh. I wait on the doorstep. Who has done his day's work? Who will soonest be through with his supper? Who wishes to walk with me? Will you speak before I am gone? Will you prove already too late? The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me. He complains of my gab and my loitering. I too am not a bit tame. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yo over the roofs of the world. The last scud of day holds back for me. It flings my likeness after the rest, and true as any on the shadowed wilds. It coaxes me to the vapour and to the dusk. I depart as air. I shake my white locks at the runaway sun. I effuse my flesh in eddies and drift in it lacy jags. I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. You will hardly know who I am or what I mean, but I shall be good health to you nevertheless, and filter and fibre your blood. Failing to fetch me at first, keep encouraged. Missing me one place, search another. I stop somewhere, waiting for you.
Woo! All right, I'm going to ask everyone who was kind enough to stick around to the end to unmute and to open your camera and bring us home with such incredible energy. Thank you, Chris, chiming in from the UK, from Bolton specifically, and echoing again, which means somebody is Paula. Maybe you. Oh, that is it. Yes, Paula, you're just a musical person. I don't know. It's always a chorus. Everyone, thank you for the generosity, for the kindness. The chat was great and encouraging. And I would say, I mean, maybe I should ask you if there was a distinguishing feature of this reading. Does anybody want to chime in? How would you call it? Because I think every reading really is very different, even though some of us regulars continue to show up. Does anybody want to chime in?
Maybe in a weird way, there was more reading.
What do you mean, Faye? Go ahead.
Well, on the virtuals, we've had animations, we've had multiple languages posted simultaneously. There was just more pure reading this time for a virtual one, than there have been in previous virtual ones.
I think I agree with you. Not only, I think, more reading as opposed to performance, I guess you mean, but
I guess.
Yeah, but also sort of intentional reading, right? Like really
Absolutely.
directed and sincere and connected reading. I
Yeah.
mean, I found myself quite moved often by the very different interpretations that many of you shared. Bob, do you have something to add?
Fantastic event. And I'm always struck by hearing it again and again and again. It's always new. It is always new. And I think the Zoom provides a certain intimacy, which ironically it does.
This from Bob Ian, who also has set, like Paula, much of Whitman to music. And I know, Bob, you were challenged this year because I think I gave you 2 hours to really look at section 15. Sorry about that.
Fine. Beautiful. Very intimate, I would say. My word for this year, intimate.
Well, that's terrific, especially because Zoom often feels alien. But it does have that gift, right, of bringing us together wherever we are. And we have a broad representation here. Anybody else? A last word?
I think it added up to a very good rendition of Song of Myself.
Yeah,
I was moved by it.
Me too. I think it's the type of reading you want to approach again, and with really few technical glitches. And even rectified glitches, which were awesome, right? Like to hear Paco read it in Spanish, Faye, after you read 42 so beautifully and dramatically. That was just a gift.
I felt really bad actually, because I saw after I read it that you'd said, "Oh no, wait, he's here." But I had missed that because I immediately, as soon as you asked me to do it, began looking for it and saying, "Okay, what am I reading?" So I felt so bad, but I'm glad it worked out. Yeah.
Absolutely. No bad feelings at all. It's an incredible thing that every year, not just once, but twice, so many people get together, spend over 3 hours on camera and, take time out of your day to just do this. And you get to see it again and again because the recording is going to stay up on YouTube. You can use it to teach or, just to reflect upon. I feel very, very lucky indeed to be surrounded by so much love and passion and talent. So thank you all. I hate to say goodbye.
I will say this, the final word I wanted to say was thank you. So
Well, yeah, a huge thanks to all. And there's a lot of events here and books and music. Any last minute, Julia, you want to repeat again the Canadian Song of Myself Marathon so everybody has it, because that is well worth driving up to Canada for.
Yes, actually, I apparently got the date wrong. I believe the correct date is the 28th, whatever the last Saturday in September is. So thank you for that. It'll be on the Canadian Whitman Nights page. I would love to have all of you there, and it would be wonderful to see as many of you as possible at Karen's as well, which is which date?
September 15th for us, the Sunday, September 15th. And did you say the last Saturday, Julia?
Yes, it's 2 weeks after yours. That way I give myself a week out.
It's the 28th of September. Thank you so much. A really incredible reading, and you get to see the huge stone that was carved. My foothold is tenoned and mortised in granite. Just an amazing thing to see. Larry, one more plug for your book.
Oh, thanks.
All about Arnie Kantrowitz, a major.
Well, it's by Arnie. It's
it is by Arnie. Sorry.
posthumously published, and it's coming out in September 22nd is the launch date. There'll be an event at the center, and hope we can see you there. It's a wonderful novel. It's filled with fascinating Whitman material, and it really conjures his spirit, and it's a wonderful work. Thanks.
Love it. Thank you so much, Larry. Anybody else have an announcement?
Karen, can I just say?
Chris, yes, absolutely.
Just say hi from UK. I'm sorry I was late to the party. I was at a poetry event which partly celebrated Whitman, but we mostly did that yesterday. But thanks, Karen, for this. It's fantastic, and I'll catch up with it all on YouTube. And just thank you, everybody, for letting me share this with you. It's fantastic.
I mentioned in the chat that Chris is part of the Bolton Socialist Club. He's very important in that group, and he was part of a Whitman Walk yesterday, which has been a yearly thing for quite some time. And for those of you that don't know, Bolton and Manchester are hotbeds of Whitman fan, just lots of different support, feminist support, LGBT support, socialist support. And Chris is my major connection to that world. So Chris, hope to see you later this year. Thank you for tuning in so late. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Dylan. You're muted. Still muted, Dylan, still.
Now.
Yes, now.
Invitation to come to Todos Santos, Baja, and come see a show I do called Trippin' Whitman, which supposes that Walt's taken psilocybins for the first time, and he tries to get through Song of Myself, and in a little dome that I've built. So everyone, please feel free to come to Baja.
Oh my gosh, where in Baja, Dylan? Could you say it one more time slowly so everybody can hear that?
Todos Santos, I put it in is the biggest city. I'm in this little town called El Pescadero, hence the name Teatro Pescadero. But if you want to email me for more information, I put it there in the chat.
Thank you so much. Dylan is truly magical, and why not a trip to Baja? A trippy trip to Baja. Thank you, Dylan. Anyone else? All right. Well, then I guess it's time to say.
Karen,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, George.
Aren't you doing a presentation about FAF soon?
I am. I'm giving a talk for Gay Pride Month. What is it? June 27th for the Greenwich Village Society for Historic Preservation about Pfaff Cellar and the group that Whitman hung out with at that time. So if you are in New York, it's going to be at St. Mark's in the Bowery. I'm really proud of that.
And I'm going to be in that cellar, the cellar.
Yeah, I'm going to walk people over to the cellar and talk about, the young men and the probably the sex that he had down there, all sorts of good things. So if you're in the city, I want to say 7 p.m., the last Thursday of June.
So you're saying that we're going to have access to the cellar?
I do, simply because I'm really friendly with the staff at Hans Deli. So they're often chopping broccoli down there, but because I bring lots of people down there, they really don't mind.
Yeah, smoke clay pipes down there. I think it'll be good. I might come.
Absolutely. Would love to see any and all of you there. And it is I'm trying to raise awareness for somehow commemorating the site of Pfaff Cellar, which is still up. It's still it's still standing, but there's no sign. You could walk right by it every day and not know that American Bohemia started in that place.
Right.
So it's very much an awareness campaign, and also a reading of Whitman's secret same-sex love poems, Live Oak with Moss. So yeah, please join us if you can.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, George. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope to see at least some of you September 15th, maybe some more of you in Canada or somewhere else. Such a pleasure to have you all aboard. One last yawp together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks
And
so
a
much.
really
Thank you.
huge thank you to Carlin behind the scenes. Thank you, Carlin.
Thank you, Carlin.
Carlin.
Bye, everybody.